Okay, on to forensics. So the biggest piece of advice I can give about the application 16 marker on Vera is that although examiners are given the mark scheme, which you can see, which says 6A01, 4A02, 6A03, that's a lie, okay? You have got to think of A02 16 mark questions as having the STEM threaded absolutely throughout your answer. So what I should be seeing is Vera constantly. Vera, 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 Vera in the A01, Vera, 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 even in the A03. The question is on Vera. The question is not an anger management therapy 16 marker with Vera shoved in with a token 2 sentences. It's also not a behaviour modification essay with Vera shoved in for a token sentence. It's a question on Vera. So, and they are getting more and more popular, these application questions. You're definitely going to have at least 2 of the 6 that you have in the A level, probably 3 will be application. Now, what that means is you've got to do way more than just quote the STEM a couple of times. Literally, I should be seeing her name over and over again. So, the most effective way to answer this question was to take the first method of managing offender behaviour, which let's call it anger management therapy. You give me the A01, explain that it's a type of CBT by Novico that aims to change the way that offenders feel and behave, because it's based on the idea that emotions precede the negative thoughts precede the negative emotions that cause the aggression. So for someone like Vera, who's committing assault, the theory is that thoughts, incorrect, biased thoughts have triggered fear and anger, which has led her to commit assault. So anger management therapy would be the perfect solution for her, because not only is it going to teach her what her triggers are, ways of managing her triggers, it's going to also help her put that into practice so that when she goes into the outside world, she's much less likely to offend. So the fact that it says she's gone in and out of prison many times, well, that should stop after anger management therapy, because it should intrinsically change. The governor says, I want to rehabilitate prisoners. Well, that's the way to do it. So I should have all the A01 detail there of the 3 stages named and applied to Vera. It's very clear that she's at stage 1 because she's writing in a diary. It talks about the daily diary entries. So there's so much you could pick out just on anger management alone. And then you have behaviour modification. So in terms of A01, the main thing that was missing was that students didn't give me all the right key words. Based on operant conditioning, token economy, tell me what positive reinforcement is, tell me what negative reinforcement is, and tell me what punishment is. There's a lot of confusion over the difference between negative reinforcement and punishment. They're not the same thing. So both positive reinforcement, which you pretty much all got right, so that's giving rewards for good behaviour, and negative reinforcement also increases good behaviour. So it's when you toe the line, you do the right thing, you do good behaviour, keep a clean cell, you wait in line at lunch, whatever, because the threat of having the rewards removed keeps you behaving. Punishment is different. That decreases undesirable behaviour because it's a direct negative consequence of a bad behaviour. So negative reinforcement happens when the offender toes the line, when they do the right thing. So if Vera is behaving, not assaulting other prisoners, controlling her anger, then she can be rewarded for it, positive reinforcement. And through negative reinforcement, which is the threat of removal of those tokens, she will continue to behave. Punishment is when she assaults a prison guard and is put in isolation. Yeah, so they are different. In terms of the final one, lots of people didn't mention custodial sentencing, or you picked out like one of the 4 elements, like deterrence, as the method. It's not. Custodial sentencing is the method, which is the prison sentence, which is obviously what she's got because she's in prison, but she's been in and out of prison many times, so the custodial sentence isn't working. Tell me what the 4 aims are. Tell me A03 related to them, so give me recidivism rates, relate them back to Vera. rehabilitation is obviously one of the aims that the prison governor is in line with, because it directly quotes it. So pull those out, okay? And basically, the best answers went AO1, AO2, AO3, and then took the next method and then went AO1, AO2, AO3. The worst answers were the ones that just gave a few sentences on behaviour management, a few sentences on anger management, a few sentences on custodial sentencing, then a mini paragraph of AO2, which was fairly pants, and then AO3 points relating to any of them. It's not very effective in terms of structure. I would, as an examiner, much rather see each method dealt with accordingly. It doesn't really make any sense, and it also meant that nobody was giving any detail, which meant that you were prevented from going pretty much above 8 marks. But by far your biggest goal is to do the AO2. Hardly anybody gave me enough. And it's so easy to relate her back to the STEM. Like, if you're mentioning the AO3 of actually token economy doesn't work and outside of the prison because it just there's no rewards once they get out, then you can relate it back to Vera, as we can see with Vera, because she's in and out of prison many times. So it's so straightforward. You don't have to make like incredible light bulb moment AO3 in relation to Vera. You just literally put a few words in, but it keeps ensuring that you are returning to the question, and essentially that's why most of you are dropping marks, because you're just not. I'm trying to think whether there's, oh yeah, loads of people bringing in AO3 that had absolutely nothing to do with Vera. So you'd say stuff like anger management therapy isn't suitable for people that don't have anger issues. Well, yeah, of course it isn't. So, but this question is on a woman with severe anger issues, so it's pretty irrelevant. So just don't rote learn an essay and then sort of vomit it up onto the page. You can't do that with application questions. Okay, it's very, very different. So just really be careful with that, because if you look at the mark scheme, in order to be top band 13 plus, it has to be thorough, detailed, with incredibly effective application. And to have effective application, it has to be constant. It can't just be a few token key sentences. That's pants. That puts you in basic, pretty much. So I know I've said this before, perhaps we haven't practiced them enough, so I'll make sure that we practice them before June. Right, that's it for that one. And then the next question, the 6 marker on describe psychodynamic explanations of offending behaviour. This wasn't bad, you know. The best answers were those who went for Freud and explained that how the superego normally develops, and how essentially being a criminal is a result of some sort of failure to develop an appropriate superego. So you would explain to me how it normally develops through identification and internalization with the same-sex parent at the phallic stage, but for some reason something's gone wrong. And then you tell me about the inadequate superego, where the same-sex parent is absent, or you tell me about the deviant superego, where the same-sex parent is a criminal themselves. There's also the overly harsh. Excuse me for my child screaming in the background. So that was on the whole very good. There was a lot of confusion. Loads of people just talked about the psyche in general and much more about the id, but that's not what it's all about. Go back to the PowerPoint. Also, some of you did both, which was fine, but mostly when people tried to do both, there wasn't enough detail. You hear the same things are coming up again and again. And loads of you that went for Bowlby's maternal deprivation theory said it was lack of attachment with mum, which it isn't. Deprivation is loss of attachment. The baby has an attachment with mum during the critical period, but for some reason that is removed. And that causes, mainly, the thing you're focusing on is affectionless psychopathy, but there are many other effects: intellectual, cognitive, developmental, emotional, even physical. But the one you're focusing on is the affectionless psychopathy, and you could even use 44 Thieves to illustrate your knowledge here. I know it's not an AO3 question, but you absolutely could. Okay, and then the final multiple choice question was B and E.